Hey guys, happy Thursday. We're going to do some more division problems and division word problems today. Don't forget, I am doing this lesson live on Thursday at 10 a.m. So if you want to do it on your own, you can continue this video. But if it is before Thursday at 10 a.m. and you want to do it with me and some of your classmates, come join us on Zoom. So let's pull up our problems for today. So the Thursday math, you can also do this on your pod or you can print it out. Or you could just have a piece of paper and write the problems out as we go. There's not a lot on this sheet, so you could just copy them down. Number one, I want to start by saying this page has remainders. Yesterday was pretty nice numbers. We always had a perfect answer to our division problem. There were no remainders. So today there will be some remainders. There'll be some leftover. So let's see what that looks like. Let's start with number one. 1,896 divided by 8. So I'm just going to start right away by putting my lines here. Notice the little number, the divisor, is on the outside here, and the big number, the dividend, is in our box. First things first, what times 8 is close to this number? So I could do 8 times 100, and that would be 800, but in the last video I told you I like taking away at least half of the number, and 800 wouldn't be half of that. It'd be close, but it wouldn't be half. So instead I'm going to look at my first two digits of this number, 18. What times 8 is close to 18 without going over? Well, 8 times 2 is 16, right? And I could put 16. If you line it up right under the 18, it makes it really easy to see how many more zeros you need to fill out the number. So 1, 2 places, I need 2 zeros. So that means I need to go back to my 2 and make it a 200. 200 times 8, comma, would be 1,600. So let's subtract that now. So I have 6, and if you did a smaller number, that's fine too. If you did this on your own first, that's okay too. So 6 minus 0 is 6, 9 minus 0 is 9, 8 minus 6 is 2, and 1 minus 1 is 0. So see how much we took away from that big number? We started with 1,896. We're already down to only 296. That was really good. So now what times 8 is close to 296? I don't know. So I'm going to look at the first two numbers. What times 8 is close to 29? 8, if you don't know your 8 facts, let's write them over the side here. I always start with 2 because we know 8 times 1 is 8, right? So 8 times 2 equals 16. 8 times 3. If you don't know this, I want you to add 8 plus 16. Look at the answer before and you just add 8. So it's 8 plus 16, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Now let's do 8 times 4. What's 24 plus 8? It's 32. Okay, so 32 is more than 29. So I'm going to stop here. We might have to go back and add more, but in case we don't, I'm not going to waste our time. 8 times 4 is 32. That's bigger than 29, too big. So we have to do 8 times 3, but I know I'm going to want to add a 0 because I have another place there. 8 times 3 is 24. And then we're going to add that 0 to get 240. Let's subtract and see what we get. I know 6 minus 0 is going to be 6. I know 9 minus 4 is going to be 5. So 56, that sound right? Okay, 56. Oh, maybe this one doesn't have a remainder. The other ones do though. All right, so what times 8 is 56? We haven't gotten there yet, or close to 56, but I think I know something times 8 equals 56. So let's finish off our facts to see. 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 6 equals, what's 40 plus 8? 48. 8 times 7 equals, what's 48 plus 8? 48 plus 8 is our number, 56. So that's why I said I thought I knew it. 8 times 7 equals 56. So we can subtract. Again, once you really get good at this, you're going to know when these two numbers, it's 0, right? 56 minus 56 is 0. So it's kind of tedious step, but we're gonna do it just in case when you make a mistake. You want to go back and be able to show all, those are supposed to be plus signs. Those are really ugly. Sorry, I'll try that again. Plus, then equals 237. Okay. So that one wasn't too bad. We had 1,896 divided by 8 equals 237. This next one, I'd like you to try on your own first. So I want you to set it up. I have one of the numbers there, but I don't have the other. So where does our dividend go? And then I want you to do it out. I want you to divide it. I want you to see if you can get the answer. All right? All right, did you do it? I hope you did this one on your own to start. Now I will do it with you. So 3,609 divided by 2. I was nice and had you do this one on your own because it was dividing by 2, so it shouldn't have been too hard. I hope you put our dividend, our large number. I like to remember dividend and divisor. Dividend's a bigger word, so it's a bigger number. So 3,609 was supposed to go here. It is a large number, it's in the thousands place, but you're dividing by 2, so I figured it wouldn't be too tricky. I'm just gonna put this line all the way down to make it easier for me. So what times 2 is close to 3,000? I love when I can do this. I'm gonna do 1,000. So 2 times 1,000 is 2,000, and I'm going to subtract that. Don't forget your commas. I know it seems like something that's not a big deal, but it really is. It's the only way to really easily look at a number and know how to say it. And it also, if your handwriting gets smushed or if you're writing the numbers unevenly, you know there were 4 numbers there. So just try to make a habit of writing the commas. When I was a kid, I didn't, and it caused a lot of mistakes. 9 minus 0 is 9. 0 minus 0 is 0. 6 minus 0 is 6. And 3 minus 2 is 1. 1,609. So we're going to put that over here. Now, I'm not going to do what times 2 is 1,609 because I don't know. I'm going to do what times 2 is 16. And I know that 8 times 2 is 16. So 8 times 2 equals 16, but I want 2 more zeros there. So I'm going to put my comma and 2 zeros, but when you do that, you have to add the zeros to the top number. You have to, because remember, this top number is how we get our answer. So if you were just like, oh, okay, 8 times 2 is 1,600. First of all, that's wrong, right? Not even close. Second of all, when you go up to add at the very end, you've done all your hard work and you go to get your answer, it's going to be wrong. And you're probably not even going to know it's wrong because you thought that you did it right, right? So you didn't add wrong. You just put the wrong number up there. So make sure to add those zeros if you're doing it the way I am. It makes multiplying a lot easier as long as you remember to add them to the top number when you add it to this number. And now we just have 9, left over 9. So I'm going to put my 9 over here. What times 2 is close to 9? Well, 2 times 4 is 8. That's the biggest I can do. And then we're going to subtract, and I hope you know that 9 minus 8 equals 1. So now we didn't get to 0, right? We have a 1. What times 2 equals 1? Nothing, right? No whole number times 2 is going to equal 1. 1 is less than 2. So this is our remainder. Whenever you end up with a number less than your divisor, so the number you're left with is smaller than 2, that means you're done with the boxes and that's your remainder. So 1 equals remainder. You can just write R. I'm just writing it today so we kind of remember the word, but you can just write R. A big R or little r stands for remainder when you're doing division. So again, whenever the number that's left is smaller than 2, that doesn't mean you could have stopped here. I've seen kids go, oh, I'm done. When once they get here, they didn't do this rest of the part. They just stop at 9. Well, 2 fits into 9. 2 times 4 equals 8. So you can still take away. You have to wait until the number is less than your divisor. Now we're going to still get the answer in the same way, but once we finish adding, we're just going to add that remainder to the end. We're not going to add it to the number. We're just going to say remainder 1 afterwards. All right, so 1,804 remainder 1 is how we would do that. So 1,804 R1. Awesome. I'm just going to double check this one to make sure that we got it right, because I know last week that was embarrassing. Got a lot of those wrong at the first try, but you know, that's why I do them with you guys, because it's easy to make mistakes, and I just want you to see that. We got 1,804, remainder 1. Good. And just a little, I'm just going to tell you this for some of you guys who might be ready for it. So the remainder you could make into a fraction. So our answer was 1,804. The remainder was 1, right? So we put the remainder over the divisor to make it a fraction. So the answer to this problem is technically 1,804.5, or 1,804 and 1/2. 0.5 is equal to 1/2. Think 50% or 1/2. The 2 is the groups, right? We wanted groups of 2. So we have 1 left over of 2. So 1 over 2. So that's how I got that 1/2. You don't need to know that. That's just a little tidbit that I like to give you guys. Kind of interesting. All right, number 3 divides by 11. So the 11s a lot of times people find to be pretty easy. So that's why I did this one. I thought that you guys would do this one on your own. But if you want to do long division, you can. So just try your best on this one. I want you to try to do it completely. There is a remainder. So I'd like you to try to do this one the best that you can. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's not graded on if it's right or wrong. I just want to see where we're at, how well we are understanding this. Okay, and then we'll move on to 4 and 5. Okay, you should have already done 3 though. Pause the video. Now we're going to do 4. Andrew had 293 muffins and wants to share them with his 4 friends. How many muffins will each person get? How many will be left over? So let's do cubes. I want you to do cubes before you do anything. So let's start by underlining our question, box the keywords. Share with his friends is something that I wanted to talk about. This is really common in our iReady book. So I know usually we don't know if we're dividing, but you guys know we're doing division this week. And even though it's a word problem, you probably already know that we are dividing, and you are correct. But first, let me explain why we're dividing. He has 293 muffins. That's like the big number, right? 293 is a lot bigger than 4. And if we're breaking 293 into groups, you're sharing them with your friends, the number of groups is going to be smaller than 293, right? It doesn't say we're breaking the muffins in half. And there's only 4 friends. So you're going to have an answer that's smaller than 293, because you can't give each of the friends 293 muffins. You wouldn't have enough, right? The first friend would have them and nobody else would get any. So you know your answer is going to be smaller than 293, and you know equal groups because of this word share. Okay, and then also, I didn't even see this one at first, in our question, each. Remember I told you that each means either multiplication or division? So, and the reason it's division is because we're going from a big number, 293 muffins, into a smaller number. We're breaking them into smaller groups. If it was the opposite, we had 2 small numbers, we were putting them together to make a big number, it would be multiplication. So this is what I want to talk about. Andrew had 293 muffins and he wants to share them with his 4 friends. Does that mean he's giving them to his 4 friends, or he's sharing them? He's sharing them, right? So he is going to have muffins too. When you share with someone, it doesn't mean you give it. Oh, I'm going to share my drink with you. Well, probably not a good idea. I'm going to share my toys with you. That means you're both playing with them. It doesn't mean one person is playing the whole time. I mean, it might, but that's not a very good way to share, right? So when we're sharing, that means Andrew is going to have some muffins too. So it's not just 4 people. It's 5 people. It's really easy to make a mistake on this. I've made this mistake before in class, as you guys know. When you're sharing with 4 people, you have to include the person who's sharing. So we need to include Andrew and his 4 friends. So we're not dividing by 4, we're dividing by 5. Okay, and let's just start by drawing a little picture of this. We have 293 muffins, and we want to split them into 5 groups. That's too big. I'm going to do it over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we have 293 muffins. So we want to distribute them to each of these 5 groups. Now I know some of us might do an X in each box until we get to 293. That's not what we're gonna do. That's like 3rd grade division. We can't be wasting our time with that, right? We can't be writing 293 X's on our paper. What if you made a mistake? That's a great way to understand what division is, but it's really important that we're taking it a step further and doing the long division and the area model division that we have learned. So let's go ahead and draw a box. If you would like to, if you know how to do the other division and you're very comfortable with it, your parents have looked over it, maybe taught you it, and you know that you do it correctly, you can do it that way. But unless you're sure, I want you to do it this way with me. Okay, if you want to pause this video right now and do this question, go ahead. So what's the divisor? How many groups are we making? What are we dividing by? What's the little number we're dividing by? Well, we had 4 friends, but also Andrew, right? So 5. So we're putting this into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups. What are we breaking into 5 groups? What's the dividend? Our muffins, 293. 293 muffins. Okay, let's go. We are going to close this and divide by 5. So 293 divided by 5, we're going to start with what times 5 is close to 29, because I don't know what times 5 is 293. So you probably don't either. So what times 5 is close to 29? I know that 5 times 5 is 25. Could I go more? One more? What's 5 times 6? 30. That's too big. So I'm going to do 5 times 5 is 25, but then I'm going to add a 0 because I don't want just 25. I want 250. So 3 minus 0 is 3, 9 minus 5 is 4, 2 minus 2 is nothing. So we have 43. What times 5 is close to 43? 5 times 8 is 40. And now we're just going to do 43 minus 40. Pretty easy stuff. 3 minus 0 is 3, right? And that is going to go in our next box. So let's put a 3. Is anything times 5 going to be 3? I don't think so, because 3 is less than 5. Do you remember what that means? That means 3 is our remainder. So it's going to be remainder 3. So I'm just going to put R3 here. So we're going to add 50 plus 8 equals 58. And our answer is going to be 58 muffins. And then if you look here, it said how many muffins will each person get? So we're going to say each person will get 58 muffins. And 3 will be left over. So when they say what's left over, they really mean what's the remainder, because that is what's left over, right? We weren't able to divide that into parts. So that's what they mean in word problems, if they mean what's left over. Last one. Mrs. Dent has 1,539 kitty treats. She wants to give an equal number of treats to each of her cats. If she has 2 cats, which she does, how many treats will each cat get? Hopefully they don't eat them all in one day. So I would challenge you to do this one on your own because it's a 2. I know it's a big number, but it's not that hard of a problem. So if you are feeling good, you know what you're doing, I would like you to try to do this one on your own. Pause the video, maybe see if you get the right answer, but you guys are doing great. I'm sure that you have got this. So let's start by drawing up the problem here. We have how many treats will each cat get? That's our question. It's really important you see that you're answering the question. Not what's the point, right? You're just wasting time. There's 1,539 kitty treats and 2 cats. So we want to put the treats into 2 groups. How did I know that? Because of this. An equal number of treats to each of her cats. Equal number and each of is telling me to divide. I have a big number. I want to give it to 2 cats. So kind of like our last problem, I had, goodbye. This time, I wish I had a little picture of a cat, but I'll do hearts. So we have 2 cats, and we have 1,539 treats. So I want to put these 1,539 treats into 2 groups. So that is literally what division is, right? Breaking things into groups. So what is our dividend? What is our big number here that we're dividing? The number of treats. We're dividing them up, 1,539, and we're breaking them up into 2 groups. So divided by 2. And let's see. So we have what times 2? I'm going to look at the first 2 numbers. So what times 2 is close to 15? That's always an easy way to do it, in my opinion. So what times 2 is close to 15? 2 times 7 is 14. But then I'm going to want 2 more zeros, right? There's 2 zeros after the 15, so I'm going to do 700. So I'm going to have 1,400. We're going to subtract here. And 9 minus 0 is 9, 3 minus 0 is 3, 5 minus 4 is 1, 1 minus 1 is nothing, right? All right, we're going to do that here. 139 goes up here. Now, what times 2 is close to 13? 2 times 6 is 12, right? And I'm going to add a 0 because there's 1 number after the 13 to get 120. Now, if you did like 10, if you did 100, if you did 5, if you did 2 times 50, that would work too. Again, we don't need to have the same numbers. So just worry about the answer if you already did this and you're checking your work, or even if you're working with me, but you're like, hey, I don't want to do that number, Ms. White. I want to do a different number. That's fine with me. Do your thing. As long as we end up with the same answer, we'll be all good. Okay, 19. Let me make sure I did that right. 9 minus 0 is 9. 3 minus 2 is 1. Nice. 19. What times 2 is close to 19 without going over? 2 times 8 is 16. 2 times 9 is 18. So let's do a 9. And it looks like we're going to have a remainder. Like I told you, today's full of remainders. 19 minus 18 is 1. So I hope that you notice that 1 is less than 2. That's not a very good line. 1 is less than 2. So that means that 1 is a remainder. We can't, if I were to ask you what times 2 equals 1, you'd look at me like I was crazy, right? Nothing times 2 can equal 1. Technically 1/2 times 2 equals 1, but we're not working with fractions right now. We're working with whole numbers. So I'm going to put an R here. And then let's put our plus signs. If you want, you can do the plus signs as you go. I always forget, but if you do, that's awesome. 769. If you've noticed, the way that I do the division, it's always easy adding because I try to make it so there's lots of zeros. Like I'm never adding like 13 plus 27 or something that I would need to be regrouping. But if you are, that's why I left the space underneath so you can just add, and you should line up the numbers. If there's any regrouping, please line up the numbers. There's no reason to like try to do it quick in your head. Because what if you get it wrong? Then you have to go and do way more work than you would have if you just wrote down the numbers and added them. So please write them out if you need to. So we've got 769. Oh, can't forget my remainder. Remainder 1. Let me just double check that one to make sure we got it. 1,539 divided by 2, and we have 769.5, and like I said, that'd be 1/2, right? 1/2. Alrighty, awesome job, guys. That was really good work. So I think we are done for today. If you would like some more division problems and you want me to check over them, you can either look at them online and then send me your work, or if you want me to give you some, I will just have your parents send me a message. I hope that this has been, you know, not too hard. I'm sure that you guys are doing great. I will see you later. Thanks for coming.